Hey guys, Publik back here with another dungeon preview on the Battle for Azeroth beta. This time we're looking at Temple of Sethraliss on normal difficulty. So first things first here, I will say this dungeon has probably the most annoying trash, or some of the most annoying trash in my opinion. Some of the mob packs have corkless pups or something like that. I can't remember what they're called. And they just like randomly charge and stun people, and as a ranged, especially as a Shadow Priest, it's one of the most annoying things ever. But so yeah, definitely one of my least favorite trash pulls I've ever seen so far. So I'm definitely kind of targeting those similar to like the way we do cats right now, I feel like, in Legion. But anyways, nonetheless, we'll kind of go over some of the mechanics of this dungeon and all the bosses and kind of give a little bit of preview for what this thing looks like on normal difficulty. So first things first, we have a council boss to start out here. So, or I guess a two boss council. So two target boss here. They don't share health pools. They both kind of do their own lightning styled mechanics. Snake style lightning, I guess. Everything in here is basically snakes. Pretty straightforward stuff. It's just dodge tornadoes that they shove at you, and then there's a cast you have to interrupt. That's pretty much it for this boss. There's nothing too crazy about it here. Fell over pretty easily for my group, so nothing too crazy here. As you move forward in the dungeon, like I said, there's more random mobs that just charge the ranged and make it really annoying as a ranged player. But other than that, nothing too crazy. The mob packs here are decently sized. There's a lot you can chain together, but for the most part, it falls over without really trying. Again, normal dungeon. The pathing here is very linear. You're basically given a path that you have to go down. There are some extra mobs that you can skip a lot in this place, but for the most part, everything here is pretty much required to kill in the specific order they want you to do it in. And a lot of them kind of have trash in the boss room. So in order to start pulling the boss, you pretty much want to clear the trash. I guess you don't have to if you don't want to, but it's definitely something you should do. But other than that, we'll get to the second boss here in a second, which is Merektha or something like that. So once you clear this room, it's a big snake boss that pops up. This guy is actually massive. This boss is pretty boring, I'll say. I don't know why they like intermission phases so much, but this boss has an intermission phase where he goes underneath and starts tunneling around the floor and spawns a bunch of small snake ads. That by itself is fine to me. The only problem with this is once you kill the small snake ads, the boss doesn't come up. He's still running around burrowing across the battlefield, as the game says, for like a decent amount of time, and you feel like you're just sitting there waiting just forever. And it happens pretty regular. I think it's at set health percentages, so I'm not quite sure if there's a way to skip this necessarily. Like for us, he basically went down, came up for a second, went right back down. So I'm assuming that's how that works. So if it's going to work like that, I really wish it was just kill the mobs and then he'll come up immediately. I don't know why they made that change, but other than that, the boss is pretty simple. It's just we had to go through 2 burrow phases on him, which made the boss take significantly longer than it should have, but nonetheless, that's about it. And then we kind of go down some hallways here to get more trash. We're getting to like lightning elemental trash here, and this is kind of more they messed around with a lot of environmental mechanics for this dungeon, so there's a lot of kind of like the environment stuff that you need to dodge, so kind of like mini game style stuff. So you have to like go through turn style like lightning orbs that you have to walk through, and if you get hit by them, they send you back to the beginning. So kind of a little bit of a maze. That gets a little bit harder as the dungeon goes on, but nothing too crazy complicated at all. They're pretty easily done. And then for the most part, the mob packs are simple. There's some AoE damage mechanics that go out, but nothing out of the ordinary for sure. And then eventually, once you clear, again, this is kind of another room where you have to clear all the trash in the room before the boss will spawn. There's some RP involved with this one. It takes a bit longer, but the third boss in here is Galvized. I don't know how to say it, but it's something like that. And he's like a lightning storm elemental guy. I don't really know what this boss was doing. I don't think there was a single mechanic that actually hit us at all. I think there was some group damage that went out, but he spawns pillars of lightning, and I don't really think they did anything yet. So this boss was pretty much a patchwork fight as far as I'm concerned. I had no idea what he was trying to do. So hopefully on heroic and mythic difficulties he actually does stuff, but for now it's pretty underwhelming, I'll say for sure. After you kill him, you go to the bigger maze of the dungeon, which is a lot more lightning orbs kind of coming out. And once you get to the end of the maze, or this puzzle, I guess, once you engage the spark channel, I think, or maybe once you kill him, I can't remember, the actual lightning spawns. I think it's when you engage him, so that way when you're coming back, you don't have to do it again. It's only the one time that you actually have to do it. And then after that, this is a very weird room. The mechanics are still kind of fuzzy to me, or I'm not quite sure how Blizzard wants us to do this, but basically there's an orb in this big chamber, and you have to take the orb to the skull at the end of the room to basically unlock the door to go further in on the dungeon. The only thing is, all the mobs in that room are trying to take the orb from you and put it back. So every time you get hit by the mob, you drop the orb, and they can pick it back up and take it back. These mobs can be stunned and stuff, though, so it's not super bad. But you definitely want someone with a movement cooldown to handle this, because the orb actually slows you down. So as a Shadow Priest, I didn't really have much I could do here, so picking it up isn't a super great idea, because you're just really slow taking it there. But something like a Demon Hunter or like a Monk can like roll or jump to put the orb in, makes it go much, much faster. And all you have to do is run into the skull or throw the orb at the skull, and that'll trigger it. So this doesn't take too long. It should go pretty quick once everyone understands how to do it, but it's kind of a gauntlet happening, so there's a lot of mobs happening all over the place. But for the most part, I think it's pretty easily done. Nothing too bad. It was bugged previously, but every time I've done it, it's been pretty smooth sailing so far. And basically, this is kind of it's a very weird dungeon. They definitely experimented with a lot of older mechanics, I'd say, that haven't been in the game for a few expansions. But as we get to the final boss, it's literally, I can't remember the boss from Ice Crown, but you're literally just healing the final boss up, and that's the end of the dungeon. The final boss is just a guy who's above, and there are ads basically siphoning energy from him. So as a DPS player here, you're just killing ads that spawn that prevent healing on the guy, and pretty much everyone that has an off healing spell, including Shadow Priest, the healer, the tank, whoever, if you can heal the mob, do it, because it'll go faster. In like normal dungeons and heroic, and like when it's not Mythic Plus, people are just changing specs to be healers and getting it over with in like 3 seconds. It's a very easy fight. So Mythic Plus will be very interesting. So I feel like this dungeon, you're going to want to take specs that have off healing to make this boss go faster. Because the mobs that spawn here die pretty quick. And things like that. So I don't know. And there are things like lay on hands. I feel like they can be pretty heavily abused here too. So I don't know. Maybe the solution for this is just like stack paladins, everyone lay on hands on, and that's it. So I don't know. The boss was pretty boring. There was nothing really to do from a range perspective, a DPS perspective for sure. So we'll see. They might change that up, but that pretty much does it for normal Temple of Sethraliss, guys. If you have any questions or comments about the dungeon, leave them below. Otherwise, if you have any suggestions for beta videos you'd like to see, let me know in the comments there as well. And that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.